Ultimate Collectibles here. As you may hear in a lot of my reviews, I kind of have 5 favorite characters. Wolverine, Hulk, Silver Surfer, Venom, and Magneto. So of each of those characters, I actually have quite a few different statues. So this is actually the first, kind of the second review, because I've already reviewed Nom Nom, Chubby Wolverine. But this is going to be part of a series where I'm going to review all the Wolverine statues I have. So I have about a dozen, and probably, unfortunately, about that many more coming. So let's start with this Xforce Wolverine. I have a leg. Ultimate Collectibles here. As I said before, this is part of a series where I'm going to review every single Wolverine statue that I can get my hands on. This is technically would be number 2 because I already did Nom Nom, Chubby, the little fat bastard. But this is a custom quarter scale Xforce Wolverine vs. Ninjas diorama. Say that multiple times. So the name is only beaten by the size of the statue. As you can see, this thing is giant. Technically, there's actually 4 ninjas on here and 1 Wolverine. So this is a custom piece. ES is around 60, I believe. The price is, I can't even remember what it is. The price is, oh yeah, it's about 1500 euros, so 1700 US, in that ballpark, depending on what the exchange rates are. This is not a production piece. This is one of the 2 samples. The production pieces have not yet been released. They're going to be released here in the next few months, and I do have a production piece coming as well for a very specific reason that I will tell you in a minute. So this is quarter scale. It is made by Custom Group, and again, we don't talk about where customs come from on this channel. It arrived in the standard packaging, which was nice. It was 1 box. It was a rather large box, and I wasn't prepared for how big this was. That's what she said. This is just monstrous, and it actually almost made me replan my entire Wolverine display, because if I'm going to have 2 of these right next to each other. So it comes with the bottom base. Some of the ninjas are attached, some you have to put together, some you have to put just the torso on. There's a lot of pieces you have to put together on this. Not only the ninjas, but they have swords. There's arrows strewn everywhere. There's ninja stars. There's things that you put in Wolverine's body. And this is where it gets really complicated. There are actually 3 different portraits. The first portrait that I have displayed here is his normal raged portrait. Then also you have the same portrait with battle damage done on it, and it looks really cool. And this is going to be the portrait I display on the second piece, because you can see the adamantium skull. And then the third portrait is kind of this still very aggressive but more serene piece that looks very good as well. So this piece actually has 2 torsos as well, which is why I'm probably going to display it side by side. 2 different torsos, 2 different portraits, and the torsos are very different. You have this one right here where he's lunging forward, holding his claws up with his left hand and plunging through the head of the front ninja. And then you have this other piece right here where he is plunging his claws through both the ninjas on the right and left and kind of showing off his chest, which is also amazing. So putting it together takes a while. As you can see, there's so many different parts. There's this leg right here as well, which you can just put wherever you want. It's the leg of, I don't know, there are body parts everywhere, but it's the leg somewhere you can put wherever you want on this piece. The arrows, trying to figure out what goes where, the ninja stars, I'm sure I'm probably even missing something. So concept and design is fairly simplistic as far as concept. It's Wolverine, X-Force Wolverine, killing a whole bunch of ninjas, and Wolverine has a whole bunch of battle damage. So while that is so simple, it's cool as shit. This is, without a doubt, the bloodiest, goriest statue I have, and I actually really enjoy it. I like that. There are guts everywhere. There's, you can see the bones, you can see the fat, you can see the blood, you can see limbs chopped off, you can see the gashes and the ninjas and Wolverine. And he is in rage, as Wolverine is in his best state. He is just pissed. He's killing them all. Probably was a very little battle in my head. If he just took on these four, it probably lasted about 20 seconds. However, based on all the arrows, in my head, he's taking on an army of these ninjas. And those are off screen somewhere you can't see. But based on all the damage he has done to him, very, very cool. And Wolverine always has those samurai ninja origins. I have another piece like this, which I think is going to be even bigger coming in, where he's battling a whole bunch of ninjas. Not Xforce, it's going to be Brown Wolverine, so that'll be neat. So, concept is pretty simple, but it's pretty damn cool. Now, design of it, that's another story. Design is extremely complex. I mean, like I said, this is 5 characters in one diorama, and there is so much going on. So you have the ninja up here who has, we'll start with this ninja right here. His left arm is cut off, and his head is down, and depending on the torso pose, he may have the claws running through his head. You have the ninja up front, with the claws going through his head. He's also missing a limb, and I don't know if you can see from the back here, but he's missing both legs. And then the ninja to Wolverine's left has extremely large gashes both in his shoulder and his head, and blood all over the place. And then the ninja in the back is completely separated from torso to legs. And Wolverine himself, huge, huge gashes, so it's obvious this battle just took place because he would be healed already, and there's so much intricate detail we're going to talk about in the sculpt and paint within all these battle damage wounds. Sculpt and paint, again, we're going to kind of mix these together. I'm not going to focus too much on the paint because this was initially a kit and it was done by a professional painter, so the production pieces will look different. Probably not much different because this was very similar to the reference that the factory is going to use. However, it'll be interesting when I have both side by side, and I may even do a video then, may not. But starting at the bottom, of what you can see, it's kind of a wood bamboo floor. You can't see a lot of it because there's blood and guts and other crap everywhere. However, what you can see, and it looks very detailed, it's old, it's green and brown and red and a ton of other colors in there, but very masterfully done. I like how there's grains in it, there's scratches in certain places from Wolverine, from where the swords go. It's exactly what I think, and I say this all the time, it's exactly what I think of when I think of like traditional Japanese bamboo flooring in like a dojo. Then moving on to the different ninjas. So obviously, you know, it's kind of interesting that they chose red for the color of the ninjas with so much blood in this piece, and I don't know the reasoning behind that. So it is a little overpowering with the red, but I still love it. The ninja itself, the uniforms they're wearing, has some good texture to it, which I do enjoy. It's not overpowering, it's not too much. Some of the ninjas have little armor plates on their shoulder pads. There's even one in the back that fell off that's underneath some blood. And I assume that's from the ninja that got the crap scraped out of his shoulder. And then also with the ninjas, you have some wire ropes sculpted in. This is all sculpt. There's no mixed media on this. Throughout their uniforms, it's the, not wire ropes, but ropes, brown ropes that were holding on their shoulder pads. And they have almost hoods on the back, so the one that's actually dead in front and dead in back still have their hood up, while the other two do not because they have Wolverine's claws through their head in the additional torso. And they have scratches and scrapes and gouges everywhere. I could spend hours talking about it, to be honest with you. And then there's quite a few places where the guts are just spilling out, which probably is too much for some collectors, but I love it. Then they also, a few of them do have their weapons still. Very cool ninja swords on their back, holding with their right hand. And they're wearing black sandals with rope ties on them. And the little arrows strewn throughout that are stuck in the ground that obviously missed Wolverine are very neat. And a lot of detail in the paint on those. So obviously I assume this took the master painter a long time to paint. because there's so much going on. And the blood looks like real coagulated blood. There's a shininess to it, there's a thickness to it. Not that I, spill open bodies of blood quite often, but this is probably what it'd look like. And I like how it's also all around the clothing where the cuts are. It's very detailed, very specific. So let's get to Wolverine, and starting at his boots, great sculpted boots. They go all the way up almost to below his knees, and there is black and gold and brown and some type of silver wire mesh on the back that complements his Xforce uniform. And again, they're sculpted really well. The detail in the seams and the bends, and on the front there's almost like shin guards or straps that hold the back wire mesh together. Moving up Wolverine, he has this traditional black and gray Xforce outfit where there's some really interesting detail on the sides, almost like a sketched pattern that's ingrained into it, and there's different colors of gray, quite a few different grays just mixed in there, where the black is this textured color that's running all the way from the middle of the inner thighs on the back up through his ass and then all the way to his torso. And the paint is just spot on. Where the paint's really a superstar, and as well as the sculpt, is on the skin tones in Wolverine. Not only his arm hair and the texture, the pink and flesh textures on his arm, but how it complements how buff and how strong. And you can see some veinage and some, veinage, is that a word? You can see some veins and some muscles just almost bursting on both arms. And he has that same musculature in his thighs as well. Very, very buff Wolverine in this, as Wolverine is. On the face, fantastic mouth work on this. So the sculpt around the mouth just showing how wide he's opening, and his lips pulling back almost animal-like. And the sculpt and the paint on the mouth, the tongue and the teeth, just look at it. The picture speaks for itself. And then on Wolverine, I love the battle damage. So on his back, at least on this torso, he has this, it's exactly what a deep cut would look like. And typically, this is probably hard to reference because in real life, we don't have cuts like this that we can just examine and look at. If someone is cut that bad, that deep, you're probably putting pressure on it or they're dead. And he has very similar cuts on his right arm and his thigh and his front, where some of the arrows and ninja stars are going in. So that is probably the quickest summary you can do on this piece. Realistically, I think to properly review this piece like I do a lot of others, it would take 30 plus minutes, which nobody wants to watch that much. So I may do another review when I have the production piece in, but overall 10 out of 10, one of the best Wolverines out there. This being the production piece, there were a few little issues, nothing with shipping, but I think some things that may have been overlooked on placement in the sculpt, but I know those are going to be fixed on the production piece. And again, to find those, you have to really, really dig. So if you enjoyed it, give me a like, give me a subscribe. If you want to hate just to hate, because this is one of the best pieces out there, give me a thumbs down. I really appreciate you watching, and I can't wait to do the next Wolverine piece, which I think I'm going to choose XM Weapon X. Take care.